Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoy this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button. And if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. James Bay, Leap. James Bay is an English singer, songwriter, a personal favorite artist of mine, period. A very similar case to George Ezra in that I've been following since I heard his breakout single, Hold Back the River, on the radio, and I've been faithfully following his career ever since, even getting a chance to review his sophomore album, Electric Light, which I'm not even really going to link because I'm not proud of that review since I've changed how I do my reviews. Anyway, I'm happy to have a second chance to properly review his output, and what better time than with his third studio album here, Leap. And let's not waste any more time, let's just dive in. What are my thoughts on Leap? Let's find out as I review it track by track. We will start with the singles, with there being 3 of them. The first being the opener, Give Me the Reason, which instantly utilizes his throatier, more exaggerated delivery, which returns for the chorus. I can definitely see that characteristic of his music not being well liked, especially since you can draw some comparisons to Lewis Capaldi, who has a similar vocal style, but at least here, it doesn't feel forced. And while I may not be a fan of it in this case, the rest of the vocals here work pretty well like on the verses, a bit more soulful and earnest over the building bass drum, and slowly builds in stature with some heavier percussion and almost this resounding guitar. Another thing I can separate between James and Lewis is he's just a much better songwriter. Nothing overly complex here, but certainly more compelling, as he sings about not wanting to lose this relationship, reminiscing about all the good times and wanting to give it another shot. Solid single here. The second single, One Life, which actually opens up with a bit of a country twang to it. The warm, serene plucking of the acoustic guitar definitely reminds me of some of these slower, more intimate cuts from some of the recent country I've been listening to. However, as it progresses, this diverges further and further from that initial expectation. Once that first chorus comes, the guitar takes a backseat to some sweet piano and percussion, returning back to James's genre wheelhouse and slowly gets more grandiose as it continues. He does sing a bit higher than I think is really necessary, but it's not a repulsive performance at all, especially when the backing vocals come in. The lyrics are also pretty sweet, presenting a kindred style to the opener, just about really wanting to cling on to this partner, knowing he only has one life and wants to live it with them specifically. Nice tune. And the third and final single, Everybody Needs Someone, is probably my favorite out of the 3 singles, fully executing all of James's best attributes. I love the melancholic scratchiness of the guitar opening the track while James's heartbroken vocal cadence resonates inside the silent mix. It's one of the best showcases of his vocal talent without stretching into the aforementioned throaty caliber, and it feels so comforting and honest, especially as the piano, percussion, and harmonies reveal themselves. I also like the bridge on here with the drums punching a bit harder, only to suddenly cut to an exiled vocal presence, whispering hopelessly in the darkness. Beautiful contrast for a great song. Now for the rest of the tracks. Nowhere Left to Go gives us the first poppier cut on the record, and it's easily a highlight. The track has such a blissful flavor to it. The way the guitar shimmers across the pounding drum and added claps is an enchanting motif if I've ever heard one. Plus, James's expressive, jubilant vocals also contribute to that. The brief bridge breakdown only to build to the climactic final chorus is an amazing addition, and the lyrics, while at their core just being a sensual, kind of sexy song, the way this one is written is wondrously captivating, especially that chorus line. It works so well. Very good song. Save Your Love has an appealing combination of the elements from One Life and Everybody Needs Someone, mostly a country-garnished acoustic cut with minimal percussion aside from the claps of the guitar. But this is probably one of James's most tasteful vocal performances across the record so far, but still has some nice volume when the harmonies re-emerge. It's an extremely inoffensive track, nothing mind-blowing here at all, but certainly not the worst track here. Just solid all around. Silent Love continues the trend of this more somber, melancholic acoustic folk rock. It was at this point in the record I was starting to get a little bit sick of that style. Not even that this track is really bad, but it's just been relatively one note so far. The song has good enough guitar work and satisfying twinkly keys, and is yet again percussionless, but I do like how the song intensifies in the second chorus with a more fiery vocal presence. A very welcome change up, easily the best part of the track, but still a bit more middle of the road than I would have liked. Love Don't Hate Me finally changes the vibe of the record, and it's such a breath of fresh air. Much poppier, more lively, yet still maintaining that singular James Bay charm without regressing into typical pop tropes. Great keys, great guitar work, yet also a stamping percussion and bass work too. It doesn't feel like a drastic switch up though. James' vocals still have that crisp quality, even with a few cheesy falsetto woohoos laced throughout. but damn, this track is fun. Easily an album highlight. Brilliant Still follows a similar formula as some of the earlier tracks here, but is just a better track, and I think that has to do with how grand and triumphant the song is. Starts off tame enough with the same folky acoustic guitar, but quickly introduces these clicky taps of the bass drum, and already by the first chorus it soars with opulent riffs, impactful snare snaps, and James's motivational vocal presence as he sings about reassuring the listener that even if you can't look yourself in the mirror or you're down on your luck, he wants you to know that you're still brilliant. It may seem a bit shallow and soulless coming from the mouth of an album of a popular musician, but I love how earnestly he sells it, so I'd say it's part of the cream of the crop in that style of song. Great job. Right Now, in my opinion, is one of the more lackluster cuts on the record. Just doesn't really leave too much of an impression, kind of being a sentimental, touchy-feely, lovey song. The best part of the track is the strings, unsurprisingly, and James's falsetto on the chorus does work very well with them, so that's another plus. But the guitar work in Shaker Edition is fine, and the lyrics are some of the most generic on the record, just about knowing now is the best time to get into this relationship. Not really any clever lyrical motifs, unlike songs that did this style better, like Nowhere Left to Go. Just kind of feels like a filler track. I'll pass. We Used to Shine is another track like Love Don't Hate Me, a massive stylistic highlight on the record. It starts out pretty typical, but I love the prolonged strumming of the electric guitar to set a bit of a mood, and how the chorus brings in this staccato acoustic plucking only for James to holler suddenly, to really get the listener comfortable with a style that only amplifies from there. Of course, the triumphant vocal performance, but then the manic pounding, fluid riffing, and some impassioned lyrics about wondering what the hell happened to this relationship when they used to shine so brightly. Love the song. Endless Summer Nights is another amazing track. The same fiery energy from We Used to Shine returns here, but this time a bit faster and frenetic. I love the sandy rustling of the percussion as a build-up, along with James's more subdued vocals, straight up bypassing the first two choruses, leading to an amazing climax that is the bridge. Feels drawn out, but in the best way, with crackly guitar riffing, aggressive percussion pounding, and some of James's most emotive and vibrant singing on the entire record. Great track. And finally, the closer, Better, certainly lives up to its closer status. It's got that same kind of intimacy a lot of the slower tracks on the album have had so far, but this one stands out much more as being a bit bluer, more hopeless. That kind of style always seems to really hit me in a closing track, and this does a great job of that. James's breathy falsettos have a bit of a defeatist undertone, even if the lyrics are rather positive, just about how everything in his life is better when he's with this person. I love the glossy echoes of the guitar being the only instrument here, really shines for the choruses. It's a fantastic closer. Overall, I gotta be honest, I kinda wish I liked this more. This album showed James returning to his older roots, back to the chaos and the calm days, but with a much more firm grasp on the folkier and acoustic side, with some matured songwriting chops, and as a result, the album comes off a bit one note. Even on Chaos and the Calm, there were a few breaks in the track list, various tempo and vibe switches to keep that album engaging. Sure, this one did have its fun tracks, but aside from Love Don't Hate Me, they came off more bombastic than tracks like Get Out While You Can, Craving, and especially Best Fake Smile. And I'm sorry, this album just cannot compare to Electric Light. It really can't. What it boils down to me is the fact that the album doesn't really have a hit like his other two records, and as a result, leaves the bulk of the album in this weird gray area. I wouldn't say a single track off this record is bad, but the singles weren't hit-making material. The first leg of this record is pretty samey, and the standouts are more so B-tier James Bay songs. And it hurts me so much to say that, because this album could have had hits. Peer Pressure was an amazing single, even if it is 3 years old at this point, and Chew on My Heart, also great but left to a deluxe edition bonus track and would have been the best song on the record, hands down. I know I've been talking a lot about, oh, James should only make pop music, but may I remind you, there wasn't really a ballad on this record either. The closest was Better, the closer, which was also great. In the end though, I kinda hope this album was more of a slight detour in James's sound, and we get some more fun songs, more hits, and more striking ballads going forward. I know he's capable of making them, but as a whole, listen to this record, Leap is more of just an alright album. Easily his weakest. I'm feeling a very light 6.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.